May I have your attention, please? May I have your attention, please? May I have your attention, please? Let us go to God in prayer. We thank God for each and every one of you being here today for our 2022 LCCC annual meeting and Lyman T. Johnson Distinguished Leadership Award. Let us go to God in prayer. Our Father and our God, we thank you so much for another year that you have blessed us to be able to come back once again for another annual meeting. God, and we know that it was only by your grace and your mercy that we've made it this far by faith. So, God, we also ask that your Holy Spirit will be here in the room, that everything that is done today, God, will give you total glory, all the glory, God. And we ask and we thank you and we ask for your blessings upon the honorees, God. You have your way. And then bless the food, dear God, that we will consume. In Jesus' matchless name we pray. Amen, amen, and amen.
Good morning. Good. It's good to see you all, and it's good to be here. My name is Dr. Ralph Day Chabert. I'm a retired Brown-Forman executive and member of the board of directors for Louisville Central Community Centers. On behalf of our board, I am honored to welcome you to this year's the legacy edition here of our annual meeting, our 32nd Lyman T. Johnson Distinguished Leadership Award program. It's wonderful. 32 years of doing this. It's incredible. This year, however, marks in 2023, it really marks, I can't even get the words out, but marks the milestone for LCCC as we are celebrating our 75th anniversary, being founded as the Market Street Neighborhood House by, if you will, by the Shawnee Women's Club and Shawnee Post American Legion, with important financial support from the Kiwanis Club of Louisville in September of 1948. Since our founding, LCCC has served over 25,000 families, which means 90,000 children and adults have been served. And we have received millions of visitors to our facilities for program services and events. Throughout this year, we will be celebrating our 75th anniversary under the leadership of our board's Programs and Customer Relations Committee, which is chaired by the Reverend Dr. Valerie J. Washington, who you will hear from again towards the end of our get-together here today. As we open these proceedings, it's really important always to give thanks to those who sponsor the work at LCCC. And I'd like to take a second just to do that and to acknowledge the following organizations: Brown-Forman Organization, Churchill Downs, Republic Bank, Louisville Metro Housing Authority, Yum Brands, MCM CPAs, Zoller Pump Company, Commonwealth Credit Union, KFC, and 7 p.m. Group. So if you would, just acknowledge all of them. Thank you. And as we reflect on the stakeholder return on investment really contained in our agency annual, if you will, if you look at the annual report, we want to give thanks to all the donors, grantors, partners, and collaborators who have supported LCCC's mission over the past year. And I want to make sure that we congratulate all of the hardworking staff for LCCC for their dedication and their tireless support. So if you would, I'd like to give a round of applause to all of them. But what I'm getting ready to say, you all know this. It takes a community, a collective community, and the impact, if you will, of community-based organizations like LCCC to help improve the quality of life for our children and families while taking on many of society's persistent challenges and barriers. And we know that there are loads of persistent challenges, but it's also important to have an organization like LCCC that stands firm in their support of dealing with many of these issues. We must not forget that our organization serves as an anchor institution, having served nearly 5 generations of our community's most needy children and families since 1948. And that much of the economic, if you will, the resurgence that we've seen in Russell and surrounding West Louisville neighborhoods was influenced either directly or indirectly by the leadership example that continues to be demonstrated by LCCC. Throughout and beyond the proceedings of today's annual meeting, we're going to ask that you continue to explore, new ways that you can engage in support of Louisville Central Community Centers, whether it be through our Mini-versity Early Child Development Program, our highly quality, if you will, youth development services, our innovative adult education mobility programs, or by serving on one of our boards. There's an awful lot that we can ask you to do to be involved with us. You think about the special events committees, your help at LCCC is needed and welcomed and appreciated. And we're also going to say that it's important for the board to make sure that we thank you for really being with us today. So thank you so much for being here. Now, it is my pleasure. I wanted to introduce, and you look in your programs, Charles Booker was going to join us, but he's running a little bit behind. And so what we're going to do is flip this a little bit. And what I'm going to do is introduce the mayor and ask him to come up and actually say a few words to us. So if you would, I'm going to, Mr. Mayor, turn this over to you for a minute.
Thank you, Ralph, for everything that you have done and continue to do for our community. And thanks to Kevin for inviting me to come. To the entire LCCC board and organization, thank you all so much for your work. My team and I had the great pleasure of being at the Mini-versity just last week and talking about how we can partner together to continue to expand that program, which is doing such important work for our kids and move forward. And it really is such an honor to be here and to help join in the 75-year celebration of service from Louisville Central Community Centers. This anniversary is a big deal for our city. LCCC came together in 1948. There was a new mayor that year as well, Mayor Charles Farnsley. That was the year that Wave 3 first went on the air, back when television was a new thing. 1948 was also the year that the great Lyman Johnson sued the University of Kentucky because they refused to admit him and other black applicants. He won that suit in 1949 and paved the way for integration at our state's largest educational institution. It's wonderful to see him being honored in this fashion with the award named after him 75 years later. He was a great Louisvillian, a great Kentuckian, and a great American who we are all honored to have this award named after him. And that applies to so many people in this room. I've seen old friends, some new friends. Thank you to all of you for carrying on his legacy and establishing your own legacies in the ongoing fight for racial justice and equal opportunity for everyone in our city, in our state, and in our country. Thank you all for the service and sacrifice to your community, whether through an organization or on your own. Your work lifts everyone up and benefits so many throughout all of Louisville. Back in 1948, no one could imagine everything that would happen over the next 75 years. Victories and defeats, progress and setbacks, surprises and so much change. But one thing that has stayed consistent with LCCC is that this organization has kept on serving the community. It evolved from the early days as the Market Street Neighborhood House, but its commitment to the people of Russell and West neighborhood has never been stronger than it is today. Kevin and I had a great conversation, as I mentioned last week, with his colleagues and my colleagues about what's happening now and what's planned for the future. The plans to expand and reimagine Miniversity program align so well with a push that our administration is making to make universal pre-K a reality for every 3- and 4-year-old child in Louisville, because we know that investing in early childhood education can change the course of children's lives, benefit them, their families, and their communities long after they are in preschool. And the city has been a proud partner of LCCC for so many years and will continue to partner together in the coming months and years ahead. There's been so much good and important work that's happened over 75 years, and I'm excited about the coming years as well. It's also great to be here as so many great Louisvillians are being honored. Some good friends of mine that have been doing this work for so long, folks like Senator Gerald Neal, who I don't see him. I assume he's still fighting the good fight, is he? Oh, represented today. Great. I assume he is fighting the good fight in Frankfurt today. And today is a very important day in Frankfurt on so many issues. I just spoke with Senator Neal yesterday, and I know he is hard at work trying to, so often he is pushing for legislation to be passed. Today, it sounds like he's fighting against legislation that would take our city backwards. And so he is doing a great job there. And folks like Lynn Johnson, and thank you for everything that you have done with YMCA Black Achievers Program. And Mr. Cunningham, for you and your service to our city and what you have done and continue to do as an incredible leader. And two people who are newer on the horizons, but who impact in our city has been so important over the past several years. Stachel Bussey, thank you for everything you are doing with Hope Bus and Hope Village. The city is proud to partner with you on those initiatives and excited for more to come. And Hannah Drake, whose powerful words are so important every time she speaks. From important experience, the power of her words are heard not only by those of us here in Louisville, but around our entire country. And proud that she is a Louisvillian who can continue to speak truth to power and really influence so many of us throughout our city. So congratulations to all of the award winners. Congratulations to LCCC on 75 amazing years. And Ralph and Kevin, I've got a proclamation here on behalf of the entire city government honoring LCCC for its 75 years of great work in our city. Congratulations. Thank you all so much.
I'd like to say one thing quickly. The mayor is in demand. I mean, there are loads of us that want him to be at our events. And I just want, I don't know, every time I turn around, you are there. And so I am appreciative, and we are. Thank you so much. And what I'd like to do now is turn this over to our Mistress of Ceremonies, Dr. Anna Smith. Anna is a wonderful person. I can say loads about her. She's, I'll read some of the things that we have here, but there's so much more that we could say about Dr. Smith. But she's highly successful as a diversity and inclusion, director who conceived all kinds of important programs at U of L in the hospital area. She's a former administrator at the U of L hospital. She's recognized as a motivator, a mentor. She has an outstanding record of achievement in healthcare, nonprofit, and educational sectors. We could say a ton more, and we would be here for a long time. So what we're going to do is step aside and turn this over to Dr. Anna Smith.
A good, little palm there. Bring it down just a tad. Good morning. and welcome. My goodness, look at this turnout. This is awesome. As I was going back to get my name tag, I heard one of our employees say, there's no more chairs. I'm like, all right, that is awesome. So let's just sit them at tables. So that is really wonderful. So as Dr. Dishabert said, my name is Anna Smith, and I am the chairperson for the board of directors at the Louisville Central Community Center. And you may hear some of us refer to it as the LCCC. Okay, so if you hear that, that's what we're talking about. On behalf of the board, staff, and stakeholders of our corporation, I'm pleased to join Ralph in welcoming you to our 2022 annual meeting and Lyman T. Johnson Distinguished Leadership Awards program. You know, we're just closing out from Black History Month, and it's no mistake that, you know, we are having this meeting on this particular time. And I heard a mother of about, maybe it was about 4.5 or 5-year-old, had her little girl in a pre-K program. And they were, you know, honoring Black History Month and learning about, you know, very famous Black Americans. So the mother asked the daughter, she said, well, what'd you do today in school? She said, oh, mommy, she said, we learned about Martha Luther King. She said, Martha Luther King. Okay. She said, well, what'd you learn about Martha Luther King? As she looked at her mother and she said, oh, mommy, he died for our sins. Okay, you know, she's getting some concepts, okay? So we can work with that, right? Okay, so while we are engaging our community stakeholders in person, we continue to be respectful also that we do know we still, you know, are dealing with the end of our, hopefully coming to the end of our pandemic. So we are also streaming today. And I wanna just recognize somebody, I think his name is David. David's sitting way back there with all the computers, if you can see him, and he's helping us to stream today. So hey, David, I'm calling you out. Okay, so thank you for what you're doing for us today. Also, if you want to mask, absolutely, please mask. If you want a mask and you forgot your mask, we do have some at the table. So you know, feel free to honor any social, you know, distancing or what have you programs that we have in place. So please feel free to do that. Okay, as board chair, I am proud to report to you that after nearly 75 years of service, LCC's mission remains very viable. I'm talking strong, viable. Even coming through 2.5, 3 years of COVID, what have you, we have stayed strong and committed to our vision and to our mission. As board chair, I am proud to report that after nearly 75 years of service, LCC's mission again remains very strong, and that we are continuing to support children, families, individuals, and small businesses. In fact, our mission of advancing equity has continued to gain momentum as we continue to ensure access to economic opportunity for all of our community, while navigating the historical impact of racial inequity and justice. And we could talk and talk and talk about that, but we all know that that has existed in the Louisville area. I also greet you on behalf of the LTJ Honor Society as we prepare to honor this year's recipient of the Lyman T. Johnson Distinguished Leadership Award, the LCC Community Service Awards, and the Lifetime Achievement Award. I am proud to be a member of the board of directors of LCCC. And honestly, as I worked at U of L, this LCCC is only about maybe 7-8 minutes from where I worked. I had not ever heard of the LCCC, I'm ashamed to say, until someone, my secretary actually asked me if I'd ever, heard of it. And I said, well, no, She said, well, they do something called a breakfast event where you can go to that breakfast and you can learn more about what they do. And she, of course, informed me a little bit more about what, the organization did. So I said, well, sure, sign me up, I'll go. So I went and I was hooked. Okay, totally hooked. This is totally within my wheelhouse of how we need to pour into the next generation, pour into families, pour into the community. And the things I had seen happen as a result of this organization standing steadfast for 75 years in this community has been phenomenal. And I'm very honored that I went from being a member on a committee to being a committee chair. And then next thing I knew, I was on the executive board. And then somehow or another, I got up here. I'm not sure how that all really happened. But anyway, I'm very proud to be here, and I'm very honored to do that. Our board is proud to progress our staff, of the progress that our staff has made over the past year, executing of the agency's strategic plan. Now, that's another thing that I'm really proud about with the LCCC. A lot of non-for-profit organizations, they want to accomplish things, but they may not be strategic about it. This organization came together about 5 years ago, and we developed a truly strategic way that we wanted to accomplish our mission. About 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, we came together again and refreshed that strategic plan to make sure we were hitting our hallmarks and that we were doing what we said we wanted to do and accomplishing what we wanted to accomplish. And it was when you agree, it was a phenomenal meeting. Yeah, it really was. So you can feel comfortable that we're not just up here talking and calling you guys in and saying, well, we're going to celebrate. We really want you to know that this organization is about business. Okay, it's about the business of equity. It's about the business of education. It's about the business of developing children and families. And we are committed to that. And pray God, we are here for another 75 years. So even against the challenges that we have had, we are still achieving success and building wealth. Once again, we express pride and appreciation to our staff, our partners, and many donors who came together in support of our children, our families, and our community. So I want to just take a second and just give you guys a praise. A hand clap, okay? Thank you guys for what you do. Now I would like to recognize the Board of Directors of LCCC. Wave your hands or hit the share buttons on online if you're watching online. But if you're on any committee or Board of Directors, just go ahead and wave your hand. Yep, we have a number of them that are here today. Thank you. Okay. I'm asking our audience to please give our board members a round of applause using the various options again, a hand clap, or you can just hit the like button. And I want to tell you that these are present day individuals who are taking their time and volunteering to help the organization. But we have many people in our audience who have been with us through the years. And so we want to thank them as well. You will be hearing from several of our members today, and I hope others will stay around to bring greetings at the end of our program. A slate of the Board of Directors for 2023 through 2024 have been nominated. And this is a little business that we have to take care of today, okay? So they are Dr. Anna Smith, who looks a whole lot like me. Okay, all right, it's me, okay? All right. Dr. Gracie Wishnia from Spalding University. She serves as our secretary and vice chair. Tracy Cherry, CPA accountant with Deming, Malone, Livesey, and Ostroff. Is that how you say that? Okay, treasurer. And she's our treasurer and chair of our finance committee. And let me tell you, she don't mess around with that budget. She is on the money to the penny, making it happen. So I'm going to thank you for that, Tracy. And then Tiffany Williams, owner and broker of the Eternal Realty, LLC. These officers shall be joined by the following board members to comprise the executive committee of our board of directors. Kimberly Bell Foster with Yum Brands, she chairs our resource development committee. Dr. Valerie Washington, who brought our prayer at the beginning, she is the senior pastor of Hewlett Temple AME Church and professor at Simmons College of Kentucky. She chairs our programs and customer relations committee. Andreas Wokich, attorney at Frost Brown Todd, he is the co-chair of our Neighborhood Development and Real Estate Services Committee, along with Tiffany Williams. So at this time, I ask if there are any other nominations from the floor to be considered for board roles. Any other nominations? We will call this for another time. Any other nominations for board members from the floor? Okay. At this time, I would like to call for a motion to approve the slate of board officers who will serve as LCCC's board and executive committee for our 2023-2024 fiscal year. Okay. Second, okay. All in favor, say aye. Any nays? Okay, the motion is approved for this slate of board officers. Congratulations to the officers and executive committee, and thank you again for your commitment and willingness to serve. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I want to take a moment to acknowledge a distinguished leader who stepped down from the board last year. His name is Attorney Robert, or as we call him, Bob Sachs, retiree at Brown Williamson. We want to thank Bob on behalf of the board for his continued support and financial commitment to our organization over the years. When I first started working with the LCC, that I met Bob, and just, he's just a wonderful, wonderful individual, very witty and very committed to the cause. And I don't believe, is he here this morning? Did he come in that I didn't see him? Okay, all right. But just a wonderful individual. So again, Bob, if you're listening or you're on YouTube, we totally appreciate everything that you gave to the LCCC through the years. And Bob's also a publisher, and he writes the most wonderful books. And so if you ever wanted to read anything by him, you can just kind of Google it and find out some of the books that he has written. We do not have any board members whose terms will be expiring this year, so we look forward to entering the upcoming fiscal year with a very strong slate of actively engaged boards, and our new board member recruitment efforts will continue. So if you know of any individuals that you think would have an ideal sort of fit with the LCCC, talk to them. Or you yourself may want to consider volunteering and working with the LCCC. And you never know, you might be standing up here next year. Okay, no, just okay, maybe not. but do consider working with the LCCC. If anyone with us today is interested, again, just contact our CEO. And where did he? Oh, he's back here. Okay. Mr. Kevin Fields is our CEO and president for the LCCC. And so just contact him, and you can contact him at kfields@lcccnews.org. With controlled implementation of our strategic plan, our board, leadership, staff, and partners will need the full support of the entire community as we strive collectively toward improving neighborhood conditions for our children and families. And again, I want to thank you for your support of our mission and our service. Now, if there are any former LCC board members present today, and I know there is because I met one this morning, please raise your hand or post your name in the online chat room. We want to thank you for joining us this morning, and we will always be appreciative of your service and hope that you will continue to support the mission of the LCCC. And Mr. Ziegler, if you'll stand up, okay, and over here, if you'll stand up, okay, anybody else, stand up, please, okay, stand up. Okay, stand up. Stand up so we can applaud you. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Next, please join me in a moment of silent reflection in honor of LCCC board members and close family members that we lost in 2022. Please pray for the families, these and any, for the ones that we're going to mention, and any other names that may come to mind. So immediately, we're going to honor in a moment of silent prayer, Lizzie G. Miller. She was a beloved community member, inaugural Lyman T. Johnson awardee, and respected member of the LTJ Society. Are there any others that we may have missed? I don't think so, but any others? Sissy Musselman. Yes, I saw that just the other day. Thank you for that, Mr. Cunningham. Appreciate that. Yes. Okay. Thank you. So just a moment of silence. All of our board members Join me in expressing our condolence and appreciation and congratulations as we reflect upon the past year. And to the honorees of today's program, we give a special thank you for highly valued leadership and commitments to community service, and they are great testaments to the type of individuals that we have dedicated and working with the LCCC, to our organizational values, and to the type of transformational change that our community needs. At this time, I'd like to introduce our President and CEO, Mr. Kevin Fields Sr. He has been with LCCC since 2011, serving first as Senior Vice President and then Chief Operating Officer. Kevin is an experienced organizational and community development leader with 40 years of progressive career experiences as a trained civil engineer, urban planner, and public policy specialist. Kevin became our president in 2016 and succeeded Mr. Sam Watkins as the chief operating officer in 2017. And when I started working with the LCCC, one of the things that we did is we held a health fair in this community, in this Russell community, and we held it here at the LCCC. It was amazing how many people came to that health fair, and the types of things that we picked up on that people really didn't know. They either didn't know or they didn't realize how severe the condition was. We were able to help people a great deal, and that was because Kevin partnered with me to make that health fair happen. And I want you to know that when I got here early that morning, Mr. Fields was here. Throughout the day, Mr. Fields was here. When I left that evening as one of the last individuals to leave, Mr. Fields was here. He rolls up his sleeve. He puts his heart into this organization, and many a night, I can tell you, he has had this organization on his mind to the point of sleeplessness. He worries about our making sure that we dot our I's, cross our T's, and that we do everything that we can to keep this organization viable and to do what we said we would do on behalf of this community. It is a true, and I do mean true, honor to introduce Mr. Kevin Fields.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good morning to everybody. I'm really excited to see the tremendous turnout today. This is a phenomenal experience to see all of you here. As has been stated, I'm Kevin Fields. I'm the President and CEO at LCCC, and I'm excited about today's annual meeting for a lot of reasons. But I've been cautioned because of the length of our program that my segment should be very brief. And I got to practice that, right? So I do want you to know that our 2022 annual report has been made available for your review. Please take a moment to read it, to learn about how LCCC is continuing our mission of advancing equity through empowerment of the economically disadvantaged children and families that we have served since our founding. I'm really excited to see the former board members that have already been acknowledged, but to see the number. And I can say this just as a quick testimony. When I was about 30 years ago, I was a board member of LCCC. And at that time, Sister Claudia Guerin was the chair of the board. And to see her here today is really special. And it also reminds me of a point of reflection too, because she's a good, close personal friend to my aunt, Ernestine Waters, who will be funeralized this Saturday. And I'm glad to see her and Sister Martha Pumphrey representing Hill Street Missionary Baptist Church, because my aunt and uncle are longtime members of Hill Street. And certainly we're sad, but we're also excited that the family is coming together to celebrate here on Saturday. She was north of 90 years. And we're going to pay tribute in a moment to Miss Lizzie Miller, who was also north of 90 years. And I actually met Miss Miller through my aunt, Ernestine. And Miss Miller, you'll hear later, had a special role in my life. So take a minute to look at the annual report. I just want to thank our board, for empowering us to do the work and for all that they give to this organization, their time, their talent, their treasure. We have an active and engaged board of directors. You're going to hear from many of them today, but please, get to know our board. And as was stated, if you're interested in serving on our board or one of our board committees, there is an opportunity for that. So please let me know. We'd be glad to set up a time to talk to you. I do want to echo Ralph's acknowledgement of all the sponsors. We could not do this work without great sponsorship. I'm not going to call everybody's name again, but I am indeed indebted to our sponsorship for this program. We could only make this a free event to the public with sponsorship. So we do want to thank our sponsors and acknowledge them, each and every one of them. After I highlight a few things in our annual report, I'm going to take my seat. But before I do that, I want to thank the staff of this organization. We have a great staff. I want to give them a hand. And I did make a list of everybody because I don't want to miss anybody. You know how that goes, Floyd. So Trina Tinsley, our comptroller, Deborah Grant, our director of operations. These two ladies collectively together have over 70 years of experience with this organization, both over 35 years. And we're really indebted to them because they make this place go, both, from a financial and operations perspective. But I also want to thank my assistant, Melissa Birch, who does a phenomenal job as well. Sonia Ruiz, who's here, managing our development work. Kiara Troy Harbin, who I saw in the back, is new to us as a youth coordinator. We do have two great consultants working with us in our youth area, Ms. Tiffany Stoner and Devon Hankins. And we also had great support from Troy Bell and Company back last summer. You'll learn a little bit about that in a moment. We have a whole slate of program partners. Again, the list is too long to mention, but they're all hopefully mentioned in this report. So please look at the list of partners. You'll get a chance to see how we get the capacity to do what we do, because it's all through partnership and collaboration. We can't do it without that. We are bringing on a new initiative that we're excited to partner with Mayor Greenberg and Louisville Metro this year, the California Proud Cure Violence Initiative. We got a great team. Our manager was here, Aaron Kent. And we have a great team. We're working with the California Neighborhood Federation to deal with violence intervention, a problem that the mayor has declared as a top priority, and that we are going to be a partner to help address that issue. I want to just highlight a few things in our strategic plan, and we've got a few things on the slide deck that I'm just going to touch on. So the mini-versities continues to be our top priority. I'm so thankful to see Ms. Pat Morrell here, who was a longtime leader of the mini-versity, and she knows that the mini-versity is still going strong, but it needs help. And we are proud that we served over the past year 52 children, which for us is good, but it's not where we want to be. We're licensed for 123, but we're still rebounding from, a lot of what happened in the neighborhood even before COVID, with families being relocated. But that's coming back. The new housing is here. I'm glad to see the Housing Authority here. Good to see Lisa here. We continue to rebuild Beecher Terrace, and we continue to reactivate the mini-versity. One of the real impact statements for the mini-versity was we've invested tremendously thanks to Brown-Forman. Brown-Forman in early of 2022 made a 10-year commitment to the operations of the mini-versity, and we want to thank Ralph DeJabert again. Yeah, give him a hand. Thank Ralph for his leadership. Lawson Whiting, the CEO there, Jill Horn, who has led the way from the foundation standpoint. We were just blessed to be included in that $50 million commitment that Brown-Forman made to the several organizations that are part of that. The Kaboom Project is another highlight. And so when you ride by and see the children have a brand new play space, state-of-the-art, is second to none, I think. And so we're excited about that. Our youth program continues to be viable. We're enrolling right now for our spring and summer program. Had a great experience in 2022. The Magic Playground was a culminating activity that we did, and we was pleased to debut the Magic Playground working with Lamont Collins at Roots 101 Museum. So really excited about that. So want you to stay tuned for what's coming with the Kids Art Academy and the Teen Leadership Council, two of our signature programs, new emerging initiatives that we're doing with Bellarmine University and Stage One and many other partners. There's more to come. I do want to also highlight what we're doing in the adult space, the adult economic mobility space. And I got to pause for a minute because I see my wife has just joined us and she's standing over there. Sweetie, you got to come on in and get you a seat. Brother Brian, help her to find a seat. Yeah. You know, you got to stop and doing what you're doing when she shows up. So, all right. So our adult economic mobility work is really going strong with a strong focus on entrepreneurship. Many partners are helping us to do that. The SBA, the SBDC, the Rotary Club of Louisville, Louisville Forward, the list goes on. All of them are mentioned in the report. But we're doing a lot in the space of entrepreneurship, and we, just in a short time of launching the Business Intelligence Center back in May, have served dozens of entrepreneurs who are seeking to grow and prosper their business. So last point I'm going to make is, you know this already, we have a great board. But these statistics that you see help to really describe their commitment. Over 4,000 hours of volunteer support to this organization. We're really thankful to bring Tiffany Williams on as a new board member, and she certainly hit the ground running with helping to co-chair our 6th annual Economic Mobility Summit, which was a hit once again. With partnership with Melbourne Marketplace, dozens of entrepreneurs here, and a great awards program, and a summit where we really unpack the issues and challenges for entrepreneurship and economic development in West Louisville. And we know that there's opportunity, but there's also barriers to overcome. And so we were able to dive in on that issue and really tackle that. Just want to thank our board for just being who they are. And I'll just wrap up with that. Give our board and our past board members a hand, and also our past honorees a hand, because everything that we do, you know, we're building community as we do this. So we got the LTJ Honor Society, right? Some 30 strong. I see Raymond Burse here as a member of that society. I talked about Pat Morrell, Reverend Jeff Ellis is a member of that society. Who else am I mentioned? If you've been recognized under the LTJ Honor Society as a recipient. Elmer's Lucille Allen. Yeah, so that's a great cue because I'm gonna ask her to come up. And we wanted to just pay tribute to Miss Lizzie Miller. And I'm gonna ask Miss Elmer to bring you her remarks, and then we're gonna show a quick video of that impact of her work.
Good afternoon to everyone. And it gives me pleasure to talk about Lizzie Miller. And when you sit down and think about Lizzie Miller, we went to Louisville Municipal College together. And people don't realize that we went to Louisville Municipal College, which was a college, a Black college for the University of Louisville. And I went there when I graduated from Central in 1949. I went to Louisville Municipal College, and that's where I met Lizzie Miller. And would you believe it, 30 or 40 years later, we lived in the same neighborhood. I lived at 1309, and she lived at 1201 Fairland Place. And it's just an honor for me to recognize her today. And I will read what is in the program, but I say everything that is written does not tell it all. You have to sit down and realize we all have individual lives, you know, that we have done. We all belong to organizations, churches, and everything else. But everything that we do we do not talk about. So I'll just read this to you. She was the first Lyman T. Johnson Award honoree. Lizzie Miller, born November the 12th, 1927, and died on December the 5th, 2022. Lizzie was a community person who shared her talents by speaking at churches, conferences, sorority events, etc. The Louisville Central community bestowed the first Lyman T. Johnson Award to her in 1991. Since that time, she has received numerous awards for her religious and humanitarian services. Lizzie grew up in Little Africa neighborhood and attended Little Zion Baptist Church, now New Zion Baptist Church. Music was a major part of her. She sang in the junior and the senior choir, and later she became the youngest director and held that position for many years. In addition, she was a pianist and a Sunday school teacher. She was involved in all aspects of New Zion Baptist Church. Lizzie was a member of Zeta Phi Beta sorority and became the Great Lakes Regional Director and chartered Zeta chapters in 7 states. As a regional director, she became involved in the March of Dimes and received its highest honor, the 1997 Elaine Whitelaw Service Award. Lizzie believed all babies would be born healthy. Thank you for being here today.
We do have a short video tribute we want to share. David.
Miss Lizzie Miller. Miss Lizzie Miller is a statue, and you think about a person, African American in the Louisville community area. We both were students at the Louisville Municipal College, and we ended up living in the same neighborhood. We lived in Algonquin Gardens, and I have seen her. We were both in the sorority. She was a Zeta and I was an AKA, but we were still friends. And to think that this past year, she and her brother both passed, and it's that they have both left a legacy that will be remembered for always.
As the president and CEO of Louisville Central Community Center, I'm certainly proud to pay tribute to Miss Lizzie Miller, our first honoree and first recipient of the Lyman T. Johnson Distinguished Leadership Award, going back to the year 1991. And she's well known for all she's done for Louisville. She's certainly a testament to leadership, but also she has a indelible mark on me as a man because she was involved in the coordination of my wedding to my wife, Sherry, in 1984. And I will never forget a moment that I had with Miss Miller as we were at the church, Hill Street Missionary Baptist Church, about to be married. And I was told at that time, my mother was living in Florida, and she had just arrived just in time for the wedding, the night before the wedding. And then when we went to line up for the processional into the church sanctuary, I was told that my mother hadn't made it yet. And as a young man, that was something that I just didn't want to hear. I got really emotional about that because I didn't want my mom to miss me get married, and I wanted her to have her rightful place. And I'll never forget looking at Miss Miller, and I didn't say a word, but she could see that I wasn't feeling quite right. And she just looked at me and she said, "Listen, don't you worry about nothing. It's going to be all right." And she just began to pray. And in her prayer, the Holy Spirit ministered to me, and I began to relax. And before she finished, I heard someone in the background saying, she's here. Here she is. And I just looked at Miss Miller, and she smiled, and I began to smile. And she said, "Now you go ahead and get married, and I'm gonna go take care of your mama." And I'll never forget her for that. That was just a mark that she made on me that I won't ever forget. And I always will value her leadership, value her for what she has done throughout this community, and certainly honor her for being our first honoree of the LTJ Distinguished Leadership Award.
Okay. Yeah, wonderful. Thank you so much. That was wonderful for both you and for Kevin. Thank you very much for that. Okay, we're continuing on, and I'm going to introduce you to a wonderful gentleman. His name is Mr. Floyd Smith. He is an executive with the River City Bank, and he serves as a member of the LCCC's Board of Directors and provides outstanding leadership as chair of the trustees of the Inclusive Equity Awards Planning Committee. Mr. Floyd will kick off a series of community service award presentations in honor of the Chestnut Street YMCA's Black Achiever Program. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Floyd Smith.
Thank you, Anna. This gives me great pleasure to be able to do this honor. I have known and worked with Lynn Johnson since 92. Sorry, Lynn. So this is a great honor for myself. Our next 2022 Community Service Award honoree is Lynn Johnson and Black Achievers. Give her a hand. While she's coming, Lynn Johnson did direct the Black Achievers Program for over 21 years. Her community service to the youth in faithfulness, affectionately known as Mama Lynn, she has worked successfully to secure about $2.5 million a year during that time. In scholarships and programs for youth, and has expanded the Black Achievers Program to include over 500 youth achievers raised K7, preparing them for excellence in the Black Achievers Program. Lynn is a community service leader who has participated in success of thousands of community youth who comes through the Black Achievers Program. The Black Achievers Program is a multicultural effort to create equity in education and in the workforce by motivating African Americans and other minority youth to develop and pursue high educational goals. And since 1979, the YMCA Black Achievers Program have helped youth gain a sense of self, raise their academic standards, build character, develop cultural competence, skills, gain and exposed to diverse opportunities, and received hands on service, learning, and field experiences. So, on behalf of LCCC and many others in our community who appreciate you, Ms. Lynn Johnson, for being a positive and passionate guide to our youth, I say thank you, and your team. A lot of people from Black Achievers have been here. Your kids may have been affected by them. We say thank you for a job well done. Thank you for your leadership.
He said I could have my say. I'd want to thank everybody. I thank God for you all. And I thank my Chestnut Street family, all of the volunteers. It's about building relationships. and building relationships with young people, encouraging them. They need you. They need us. And I ask that you would continue to kind of support the Chestnut Street YMCA with the Black Achievers Program and the youth. I'm still volunteering. I can't stay away from them. So I encourage you, volunteers, all my volunteers are Black Achievers. I couldn't have done it without them. We have Black Achievers volunteers here in the building, and my director, my Black Achievers director is over there. So I thank you. I thank you. Can you come up, Miss Devon Sorrell, who is our new Black Achievers director? On behalf of the Chestnut Street.
We're gonna get your picture, man. You actually get 2 for 1. We've got 1 for your program as well. We do have boxes too. If you want to leave them up here, we put them in the box.
Thank you so much.
Such a wonderful program, the Black Achievers Program here in Louisville, Kentucky. Louisville is the mark and has set the base and the tone for Black Achievers all over the country. And I'm just glad to be a part of it. So glad, Lynn. Congratulations. I would like to, at this time, introduce Mr. Eddie Tinsley. He is also a board member and a corporate leader with Google. Eddie has dedicated leadership, community skills, committed to assisting whatever necessary to support the youth. Over the years, Eddie has donated his time, talent, and treasures to teaching our youth free ACT preparation classes. Eddie regularly assists with our Skills Up, Change Up, Bridge Up program, assisting adult learners with digital technology, mentorship, helping to ensure the digital technology training is available to all. He is here today to present LCC's next 2022 Community Service Award to Ms. Stacia Bussey on behalf of Hope Bus. Eddie Tinsley.
Cool. Thank you, Floyd. Appreciate that. So yeah, as we said, our next Community Service Award honoree is Stacia Bussey. Really honored to be able to present this to you today. Stacia Bussey grew up in Louisville's West End, which sparked her desire to help the community. As she recognized the glaring disparities around her, she wanted to provide help that was sensitive to the needs of the community with respect to the element of choice. That passion grew as she decided to start her nonprofit, the Hope Bus. The Hope Bus is a 501c organization that works to bridge the gap between local organizations and the community by attacking hopelessness at its core in a myriad of ways. The Hope Bus strives to connect local organizations to the crisis in the community, create sustainable resources, and invigorate hope and strength into the people. The lack of grocery stores and housing in the West End, which differentiated it from its East End counterparts, pushed the Hope Bus's progression from grocery store runs to operating the Hope Village program on behalf of the city. The Hope Village exists to bridge the gap between the streets and stable housing by creating and operating transformational housing communities in partnership with people experiencing homelessness. So on behalf of the LCCC and many others in our community who appreciate you being such a brilliant leader, I thank you and your team for putting the needs of our community first and for being such a great example of servant leadership. It's my honor to present this Community Service Award to Stacia Bussey for her work with the Hope Bus and the Hope Village.
I love Louisville. We learned a lot about our city in 2020. And we learned who we were, but we also learned who we wasn't. Our streets down here were filled with people, me, Hannah, who worked to create change. And so I don't do this alone, of course. And I think, yeah, I don't know, I'm kind of lost for words right now, but it's been a year of recognition. The Hope Bus is really only like 2 or 3 years old, and first I got a co-pilot with a few of them, and I would just like to acknowledge them because they are here. And so if you just wave your hand, my director of operations and the site director for the Hope Village, Angel Todd, and also Nanny Crony, who runs behind me all the time. God is good for real. And I do everything that I do because I think if Jesus was here, he would be right in these streets with us marching. He will be feeding people because he asked us in Matthew 25, right? And he also will probably be in some of our church. Well, never mind. But I also would like to acknowledge that the Hope Bus has 2 S's because it honors my granny who only had a 3rd grade education. And I'm getting my PhD right now at Bellamy. But I wanted to honor her name and honor her legacy. Also, I like to honor my second family. I like to say I'm a King's kid, and I think they're here. I had a godfather who was just real hard. He said, "Boo, life will never be about what you do, but it'll always be about who you know." And he made me work and cut grass since I was 12 years old. And so it's just about relationships, and I'm so glad that this community has embraced me. Y'all let me be me. So I thank you for that. And let's keep working, Louisville. We got so much work to do, but it's all of our work. It is all of our work. And every time I talk about hope, I say we romanticize it, but it's not a fantasy. People have to make a choice every day to say we're going to choose hope over everything else. So let's keep choosing Louisville. Let's keep working together. Let's keep building the city that we want to see. And leadership, I think, Hannah, is going to look a lot different in the next couple of years, right? All right, so thank you so much, Louisville. Thank you so much. And I love you all.
So I'm here to introduce our next board member who will be presenting our next Community Service Award, and that's Tiffany Williams. Tiffany Williams is the owner of Eternal LLC Real Estate Services, which is housed right here in the old Walnut Business Plaza, and is a dedicated LCCC board member. As the co-chair of our Neighborhood Development and Real Estate Management Committee, and as our newest board member, Tiffany has hit the ground running. Tiffany provided great leadership over the past year as co-chair of our very successful Economic Mobility Summit, which brought attention to the challenges of entrepreneurship. Tiffany also facilitated our first ever purpose-driven developer academy in 2022, a practical course in getting started as a real estate developer. And I personally participated in that, and just a really phenomenal program and phenomenal thing to bring to the city and be a part of. So she is here today to present LCCC's last 2022 Community Service Award to Hannah Drake for the Unknown Project.
Thank you so much. Our next 2022 Community Service Award honoree is Ms. Hannah Drake. Hannah Drake is a blogger, author, activist, podcast host, and public speaker. Hannah serves as the Chief Creative Office of Idea X Lab and co-lead artist of the Unknown Project. The Unknown Project seeks to discover the hidden names and stories of Black people who were enslaved in Kentucky and beyond. The Unknown Project is a public art experience that supports healing. Its most recent installation, On the Banks of Freedom, invites participants to engage in a moment in the life of a person who was enslaved and confronts their family's history and involvement in enslavement. Names, documents, stories, and archives are shared with participants as a starting place for healing, reconciliation, and redemption. In addition to her work with Ideas X Lab, Hannah writes commentary on politics, feminism, and race, and her work has been featured on several popular online outlets. Hannah has been recognized throughout the community, receiving several awards, including Today's Women's Magazine's Most Admired Women in the Arts and Muhammad Ali's Daughter of Greatness. So on behalf of the LCCC and many others in our community who appreciate you for being such a brilliant leader, creative artist, and advocate for justice and freedom, we say thanks to you for being a great example of servant leadership. It is my honor to present this Community Service Award to Hannah Drake.
Thank you all so much. I just wanted to share a few lines, very short, from my poem Spaces, which I think is appropriate for me and probably everyone that stood up here today. But in this poem, it says, I remember those that stood in spaces not made for them, that marched on roads not paved for them, that sat down on seats in buses not earmarked for them, that sat down at counters and endured the humiliation of sitting in spaces so that one day I too could stand in these spaces. You see, that is why I'm in these spaces. It is for everyone that came before me, that sipped water at the colored only fountain, that marched into integrated schools and knew they would be just one of 9. It is for every Black performer that stood on stages so that one day little Black kids could know that they too could stand on these stages. It is for my mother, that stood in the space of a cotton field, picking cotton for 80 cents a day. It is for everyone that will come after me, for them to know that they have a right to be in these spaces, to have a seat at the table, in these spaces, to have a voice, in these spaces, to have influence, in these spaces. You see, that is why I stand in these spaces, even when it makes me uncomfortable. And now some of you sit looking at me, and now you feel uncomfortable. But today you have heard me. You cannot unsee me. In this space, I belong. In this space, we are here. Stay Shell is here. Miss Elmer Lucille is here. Raul Cunningham is here. We are here, and we belong here in this space. Thank you.
Let's give all of our community service award recipients a hand. I'm just going to pitch hit for a second and introduce Miss Tracy Cherry, CPA. And I always remind everybody who says her name, put CPA behind it. She is a certified public accountant, and she is also the treasurer of our board of directors. And so she's going to present a tribute to Mr. Lyman T. Johnson.
Thank you, Kevin. As a member of the LCC Board of Directors and Chair of the Finance Committee, it is indeed my pleasure to provide a tribute to Dr. Lyman T. Johnson. There are a lot of reasons that Louisville Central Community Centers established an award in Dr. Lyman T. Johnson's name. However, the most important one was to show our affection, our pride, our love, our respect for him and all that he accomplished on behalf of all of us. A renowned educator, civil rights and community activist, Dr. Johnson started his teaching career at Central Colored High School in 1933. As a history teacher, he challenged and inspired young people to learn about Black history, racism, and segregation laws in America. He demanded excellence and expected his students to be informed, proud, and confident human beings. His commitment to fighting for racial justice changed history. He demanded admittance to the University of Kentucky's graduate school and thus became the first Black to be admitted. Through sit-ins, demonstrations, and other forms of protest, Dr. Johnson's leadership skills helped forge the kinds of coalition building that transcended age, sex, race, and religion. This movement eventually led to the elimination of all segregation laws in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. Dr. Johnson served as president of the local NAACP and a member of the school board of Jefferson County. He received numerous honors, awards, and accolades during his lifetime, including several honorary doctorate degrees. We are a much stronger city and state because of the tremendous challenges that Dr. Johnson helped us overcome. This year's honoree will join all of the other previous recipients to be inducted to the LTJ Honor Society. At this time, I would like for any other LTJ Honor Society members present to stand, wave your hand, and or state your name in the YouTube chat room. Our purpose for the LTJ Honor Society is to continue building upon the legacy of Dr. Johnson, sustaining the engagement of past honorees and future development of the annual Dr. Lyman T. Johnson Distinguished Leadership Award process, and to enhance sustainability and success of LCC annual fundraising goals. Performance objectives of the LTJ Honor Society include attending scheduled meetings to plan future goals and engage with local board and leadership to guide future award selection and presentation processes. Today is a distinct honor for me to recognize recipients of this most prestigious award. I was almost brought to tears by those who were here just moments ago. Please take a look at the LTJ Honor Society graphics in your annual report to see all the past inductees. Today, we have an opportunity to listen again on how Dr. Johnson led efforts to desegregate both the University of Kentucky and the University of Louisville. Take a look at a short video prepared by our staff.
In 1949, Lyman Johnson went to court. He was not in trouble. He was trying to make things fair for other people. That year, the University of Kentucky did not allow Black students to come to school there. Lyman Johnson led the way to get the school open to Black students. In 1949, the University of Kentucky opened its doors to Black students. In another important event, Johnson again went to court for a case from 1972 to 1975. Johnson believed that when Louisville schools merged with Jefferson County schools, that white and Black students should go to school together. Today, Black and white students attend the same schools.
We were wondering how could we attack the universities. And the two main universities we wanted to center our attack on were the University of Kentucky and the University of Louisville. The University of Louisville is where most of the Negroes of the state live. The U of L put up their guards thing and said, we are a private school. And as a private school, you can't make us do it. We finally decided that it might be better to take the case first to the University of Kentucky that frankly admitted that they were a public institution. And we went up there and we put the facts on the record. The Judge H. Church Ford, looked at Mr. Donovan, who was president of the university, and said, Mr. Donovan, if this man, and he pointed to me, he said, if this man or anyone similarly situated walks on your campus tomorrow, you treat him like a first-rate citizen should be treated. I came back and opened up the big guns on the University of Louisville. They finally admitted that they were getting about 15% of their money from the city. And we told them, either you can open up the university now or eat salt out of our hands. We are fresh from victory at Lexington. And you can read the handwriting on the wall and open these doors now. Or you can be made to do it with humiliation. I said, now you have 5 weeks to make up your mind. Somewhere between the time I made that statement and the 5 weeks were up. I noticed in the morning paper, the Courier Journal signed a statement, headline, University of Louisville voluntarily opens the doors to graduate students.
And we worked long enough that we got to be friends. And he came over for dinner one night, and I don't know how many of the kids were still around or were at home. But after dinner, he went into the family room with who was there and started talking about what it felt like to be the grandson of a slave. And I thought that was an invaluable experience for my kids because, you know, the longer you stay in a place, the farther you get from the origins. I mean, you know, our kids grow up in such different realities. And you can read about something like that and it doesn't mean anything to you, but when somebody talks about they're having the experience, it means a whole lot more. He sort of took me under his wing and he kept talking to me when I'd get real hot and bothered. He'd try and tell me to tone it down a little bit. You know, don't let that German temperament out of the box. And he always had a different point of view, which is so important to people who do any kind of work, to hear as many points of view as we can. And I dearly loved him.
We appreciate Dr. Lyman T. Johnson and will continue to pay tribute to him for his sacrifices he made and the leadership he provided to helping us all to have the freedoms we enjoy today. Thank you.
Okay, at this time, I would like to introduce to you the individual who is going to present the Lifetime Achievement Award. Jeff Simonik. Jeff is a vice president of air operations at UPS, where he provides direction and guidance to the UPS Worldport team and dedicated LCC board member. It is under Jeff's leadership that LCCC is able to provide the families of LCC, Russell, and beyond with baskets containing pantry staples, household supplies, and fun activities for children during our holiday cheer basket giveaway, which takes place annually during December. Representing one of LCC's longest standing partnerships, he is here today to present a very special award to President Rottwell Cunningham.
Thank you, Anna. It's an absolute pleasure for me to present LCCC's Lifetime Achievement Award to President Raul Cunningham. The LCCC Lifetime Achievement Award is created to recognize outstanding leaders who have had a national impact through their work, deeds, and service, and have demonstrated a steadfast commitment toward advancing equity, self-reliance, and the pursuit of Excellence. Let's take a look at the video to learn more about the life and accomplishments of Raul Cunningham.
Hello, my name is Dr. Anna Smith, and I am the board chair for the Louisville Central Community Center, located at 13th and Muhammad Ali. We are so excited to be celebrating our 75th year of operation, nonstop. Once we got started, we haven't stopped in improving and celebrating the wonderful aspects of the Russell community.
All right, I'm Kevin Fields, President and CEO of Louisville Central Community Center. And this year's program is exciting. At our annual meeting, we're honoring Raul Cunningham, our branch president for the local NAACP. And Raul is a stalwart leader and has been around for a while, and certainly this Lifetime Achievement Award, which is an award we only give out every 5 years. We can't say enough about what he's done for our community. I've studied him, I've done my research, and I've learned about his work even as a young activist, as a teenager, leading public protests during times when segregation was the law of the land and we were not welcomed in places where we can go today. And so he's been a trailblazer in helping us to achieve the kind of access and opportunity that we know. But I also know Raul from many years of working with him during my time at the Louisville Urban League, and him doing a great job of helping us to be active in the political initiatives in our community, especially through voting. And leading the way with voter registration has been a strong impact that he has made throughout his years. And I'm just really honored to be amongst the membership of the Louisville branch NAACP, and honored to chair the Economic Development Committee, working with certainly Raul Cunningham and Raymond Burris and Clinton Bennett and the entire team at the Louisville branch NAACP. You know, we have our work cut out for us always within the Black community, but we have a strong branch. And this branch is led by none other than Raul. Not only does he lead our branch, but he also works closely with our national NAACP and is a board member there. So just honored to present this Lifetime Achievement Award to Raul Cunningham for everything that he stands for everything that he's accomplished, and for everything that he continues to do. Because we know that the battle is not won by the swift, but is for those that endure. And Raul continues to endure, continues to lead locally, nationally, and we could not be more proud of Raul Cunningham.
You know, I came back to Kentucky in 1978, and it was shortly after coming back to Kentucky that I met Raul Cunningham. Met Raul when I went to Kentucky State in 1982. Raul was then in Washington working for Senator Hutherson, and at a state NAACP convention, I met Raul Cunningham. So that's roughly 1982, 83. And since then, I've had some level of engagement or involvement with him. Particularly beginning in 2008 when Obama was running for president, started working with him more closely in terms of a lot of things around the NAACP, voter engagement, enhancement, different rights as it relates to people in the community. And what I found was that Raul is a dedicated, hardworking individual who believes deeply in the things in which he works for. Civil and human rights are at the heart of what he is all about, and he will give his all in terms of doing that. He's willing to commit his time, his effort, his money, and his commitment to, in fact, make certain that we have a right and just society in which all individuals are treated equally. He's particularly interested in the education of African American young people in our community and across this nation, looking for ways in which he can be more effective, be engaged in terms of what's taking place. He is truly a great spokesman for the NAACP, a great spokesman for the city of Louisville, and a great spokesman for the Commonwealth of Kentucky. He embodies what it means to be a freedom fighter.
Well, I've known Raul really since the time when he and I both worked in state government. That was my first entree, if you will, to him and his ability to make a difference. State government is a situation where you can work and toil for many years, and you ask yourself, what impact am I going to have on the greater good? But of course, Raul was a person who could and always has looked at the long game. He could see in the future the things that he could do today that would impact the future. And that's one of the characteristics that I feel is part of what Lyman Johnson had. He had a characteristic of looking in the long term for what could have the most impact. His ability to file a lawsuit that would allow him to go to the University of Kentucky was something that impacted positively people's lives for years to come. I'm a recipient of one of those actions. The fact that he did do that allowed me to go to the University of Kentucky. Raul, on the other hand, is also a person who looks at that long term. The decisions he makes volunteering with the NAACP allows him to see what is it that he could work on that would positively impact people in the community for years to come. That is his accomplishment for this community. And I'm so glad that I'm able to come and talk to everyone about that, because we need people in the community who are always focused on what can they do to change the arc of justice. And that's where Raul Cunningham stands out as a leader in our community. He's most deserving of this award, and I'm so glad to be able to speak on his behalf.
Hello, I'm Raul Cunningham, President of the Louisville Branch NAACP and a member of the NAACP National Board of Directors. I would like to thank the officers, the board members, and the staff, and the director of LCCC for thinking enough of me to consider me for this prestigious award. I had the pleasure of knowing Lyman T. Johnson when I was a member of the NAACP Youth Council. He was one of the advisors who worked with us. At that time, he was a teacher at Central High School. I didn't go to Central, I went to Mayo. But Lyman T. worked with African American students no matter what school they went to. Lyman T. Johnson was also president for a number of terms of the Louisville branch NAACP. When sit-ins began across the nation, Lyman T. would take those who were willing to go down on 4th Street to sit in at Walgreens drugstore on the corner of 4th and Chestnut. As I stated, I did not go to Central. At Mayo, the staff there did nothing to encourage African American students to go to college. Lyman T. Johnson, along with, at that time, Betty Taylor, who was a counselor at Central, came to the youth council and told us of opportunities, especially when HBCUs were offering scholarships and giving exams for those scholarships. They encouraged those of us who were at Mayo, Manual, Shawnee, and Atherton to come to Central High School and take the exams. I did, and based on my examination, I was accepted into Howard and offered a partial scholarship. So I'm always grateful and thankful to Mr. Johnson, Ms. Taylor, and others for exposing us and making sure that we had the opportunity to advance our education. With my involvement from 1961 to the present time, there are many things that I'm quite proud of. One, the 1961 demonstrations that led to the end of segregation in Louisville in public accommodations. The fact that I served and had the opportunity to serve as Senator Georgia Davis Powers' first campaign to become the first woman and the first African American elected to the state Senate. While I worked for Senator Huddleston, I had the opportunity to work on the Martin Luther King birthday bill. And when I returned to Kentucky as Deputy Commissioner of Personnel, I had the opportunity to work on the Martin Luther King birthday bill and watch it succeed in the Kentucky state government. Along with Senator Powers in 2003, we advocated for the removal of Jefferson Davis from the state capitol. And to be able to see that come to fruition in 2020. In 2009, I believe it was, when Judge Martin and Judge Stringer took senior status and left no judges sitting on the bench in Jefferson County, Kentucky, I'm proud that the NAACP galvanized and recruited candidates. And today, proud that there are 13 judges sitting on the bench in Jefferson County and comprising 27.5% of all judges in the county. Again, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank LCCC for this prestigious award and recognizing not only my accomplishments, but those who have contributed much to the advancements of equality in Louisville and Jefferson County.
This Lifetime Achievement Award recognizes individuals whose career accomplishments have demonstrated significant impact toward advancing the success of the African American community, especially so those whose accomplishments have positively impacted West Louisville. This special award is presented once every 5 years at our agency's annual meeting. Please join me in honoring Mr. Raul Cunningham, President of the Louisville Branch NAACP, with the 2022 5-year Lifetime Achievement Award presented on behalf of the LCCC and the LTJ Honor Society.
Thank you so very, very much. It's indeed an honor to be the recipient of the Lyman T. Johnson Award. Mr. Johnson, you can't say enough about his accomplishments, especially in the area of uplifting African Americans. As a teacher, as a humanitarian, he was there. As a past president of the NAACP, he was there. Now, all the good things we say about Mr. Johnson could be Henri. he would stand up and fight for exactly what he believed. And we appreciate that. I appreciate you, Kevin, and LCC. I appreciate those who work. Mr. Burris, First Vice President, and I see many of the NAACP members present. I'm also proud to see the president of my high school class at Mayo, Bill Holmes. You know, in those days, Bill and I didn't really associate in high school. Things were different. White students ate in their section, black students, Connie, we ate in ours. But through the years, we've made progress, developed friends. And when you think of Lyman T. Johnson, you think of the progress that he made, and you look at at Louisville today. Yes, we made progress. But you also look that today there is a consent decree about to take place on police brutality. We as a community have got to realize the importance of that and how we can make progress and continue to make progress. It's going to take all of us. When they have the community comment period, we have got to go black, white, red and yellow, black and white. We've all got to go to give our input into what we want our city to look like and what we want our city to become. Lyman T. Johnson, and as we stand, Hannah, in this place, we have all got to make a commitment. We can't go home and sit. I would prefer. I'm retired. You can see they're now treating old folks better because I don't have to climb those steps. But we have got to take an active role in our community. We got to vote. We got to vote. And we've got to take our place in society to make it much better. Again, thank you so very, very much. May God bless, and I wish all of us the very, very best. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy, Tiffany, all the presenters, Jeff, where'd he go? Right here, okay. Thank you for presenting to all of our community award recipients. And thank you, President Cunningham, for all that you have done through the years and still are doing. So thank you for that. So speaking of voting and staying engaged and kind of stepping up to it, I'd like to introduce to you right now, Mr. Charles Booker.
Good afternoon. Okay, I feel a sense of purpose coming right behind Mr. Cunningham. So I'm gonna take a personal privilege to just add to the chorus and to thank you for your broad shoulders and giving me the chance to stand on them. Because of your work, I'm able to do what I do. I have an office in the state capitol, and I know that wouldn't have happened. Okay, I ain't gonna keep pouring it on you. But this really is a privilege, and I'm so glad I was able to make it through the traffic. Some of you all know we had a governor's prayer breakfast this morning, so I've been working to put that together. And as soon as I was done, I got on the interstate and went past all the detours to get here. I drove the speed limit to get here to celebrate this occasion on behalf of the governor, but on behalf of myself and my family. LCCC has been an anchor my whole life, has served so many of us from childhood all the way through pursuing a career, and then as you maintain the balance of your life and greatness, LCCC has been there every step of the way. And so to celebrate 75 years of having this annual meeting and remembering why we do the work, I'm proud to get to make a presentation today. So I told the governor we have to do it the right way, and I was able to grab his signature before he went into his next meeting because we have a special proclamation. Mr. Fields, I'm going to present this to you. It's long, so I won't read it to you, but it simply recognizes LCCC for years of incredible, dedicated work in the West End, but for our city and for this Commonwealth, we forever applaud and are proud to stand with you. And it is a privilege to be here today. So congratulations on another year of tremendous work. Thank you.
So thank you for that, Mr. Booker. We appreciate it. And thank you for the time you took to be with us today. We're very honored. And so Tracy Cherry, I want to say what a wonderful tribute that you performed for Mr. Lyman T. On behalf of Lyman T. Johnson. Thank you for that. Thank you very much. Tracy, we heard earlier, but just to say a few things about her, she's a CPA and is with the LCC as our board treasurer and a corporate accountant with DMLO CPAs. Tracy has provided exemplary leadership here at LCCC over the past year. And again, just want to say thank you for the tribute that you gave us this morning on behalf of the achievements of Lyman T. Johnson. And I think it's just so fantastic that we could actually hear Mr. Johnson's voice. I mean, how inspiring is that? It just gives you chills, you know, that someone who stood for so much and we can still hear his voice today. I think that is an awesome thing. So we're going to transition again to another award. The time has come for the presentation of the LCC's highest honor that we present, and the Lyman T. Johnson Distinguished Leadership Award. Presenting this award is our board member, Kimberly Bell Foster, corporate leader at KFC and board member and chair of LCCC's Resource Development Committee. Let's all welcome Ms. Foster.
Thank you. Thank you, Anna. I want to give a shout out to Male High School Bulldogs. I'm a male bulldog for life. Yes. So on behalf of the LCC Board of Directors and LTJ Honor Society, I am deeply honored to present the 2022 Lyman T. Johnson's Distinguished Leadership Award to a committed, dedicated, and distinguished leader, Mr. Senator Gerald Neal. Before I present the award to Senator Neal, I want to take a moment to acknowledge all the past recipients of this prestigious award, both the Distinguished Leadership and Lifetime Achievement Awards. Please refer to your 2022 annual report where you will find the list of LTJ Honor Society members. The LCC Board of Directors is very proud to present this year's Lyman T. Johnson Distinguished Leadership Award to Senator Neal. His dedication, dependability, and overall style of leadership embodies the traits of Dr. Johnson quite well. Senator Gerald Neal represents the 33rd District of the Kentucky State Senate in the Kentucky General Assembly. He was elected by his Democratic caucus to serve as the Senate Democratic Floor Leader in 2023. Let's take a look at this video tribute to Senator Neal. Please show the video.
This year's honoree for our Lyman T. Johnson Distinguished Leadership Award, I'm proud to say, is a dear friend, Senator Gerald Neal, and very excited about bestowing this award, our highest award, to Senator Neal. And I would say, after 31 years of delivering this award to our community, this one for Senator Neal is due. He's been a great champion for our community in terms of political justice, economic justice, social justice, and he continues to this day to provide awesome leadership. One of the things that sticks out in my mind about Senator Neal is his leadership on public policy and the work that he's done as an activist in our community in addressing public policy through the formation and the continuation of the African American Initiative, AAI as we call it. And he's conducted numerous forums on every issue that's important to our community, from education to economic development to public safety to health and medicine. And he continues to address all of these critical issues in a way that helps us to improve. So we're honored to think of Senator Neal. He is a civil rights leader for many years. We recognize him as a strong leader in the General Assembly of the Commonwealth of Kentucky, and just honored that we can share our appreciation for his leadership with the Lyman T. Johnson Distinguished Leadership Award.
Senator Neal, his service in the state Senate has in fact been the hallmark of his career in my viewpoint. He does work outside of his legal area when he serves as a state senator for his constituents. He is a person who has been strategic and focused on what actions can he take that will do the most, that will move the needle, in other words, for people in the community, for his constituents, but even broader than that, for our Louisville community and for the state as a whole. You need legislators like that. You need people who are undeterred by the immediate actions of others and what it may look like today, and to focus on what the vision for tomorrow is. And that is what he has done. He's always focused on how he can improve the life of others. And that's one of those distinguishing characteristics of Lyman T. Johnson. He was very much focused on how he could improve the lives of others. He was strategic. He looked at it from a long game standpoint, and so does Senator Neal. He's very deserving of this award on behalf of, or in the name of Lyman T. Johnson. And he has those characteristics that said his service is what is on his mind, and his service is what is the leadership quality he has for our community. I'm so glad to be able to speak on his behalf. He is most deserving of this award. Thank you.
When you asked about Gerald Neal, well, it takes me back. Gerald Neal was a neighbor of mine. We both lived in Algonquin Gardens, and I knew him as a young man. And to see him, how he has progressed and what he has done for the Commonwealth of Kentucky, representing the West End, is really remarkable.
Gerald, Senator Neal, I call him Gerald. Senator Neal exemplifies the leadership that Lyman himself did in the community, with the community activities, advocacy that he did for the community, obviously advocacy for civil rights, and the teaching that Lyman did. Gerald does all those things. He's like another Lyman Johnson in another era. So I think that it's really befitting Senator Neal. Not only does he exemplify that leadership in the Senate, he does it, he started out in the community. So I think it's very befitting that he received this award, and it's something that was certainly to come.
My name is Gerald Neal, and I represent the 33rd Senatorial District in Kentucky. And that district covers a number of neighborhoods, all the way from the Bullet Line now. It's been shifted a little bit. From the Bullet Line to major part of the West End. Well, I've always been involved in the community in one way or another. In fact, I was very much involved in civil rights activity when we were desegregating downtown, Fountain Ferry Park, was in housing demonstrations, was chair of the Black Student Union when I was in University of Louisville. We fought for more students attending there, et cetera. And beyond that, we fought for confirmation of our Black identity. We started the first Black Studies program with respect that through our negotiations with and sometimes contentious relationships with the university. But I would dare say that through those activities, we have a Pan-African Studies program that evolved from that particular reality. At least that's my observation. And eventually, when Senator Georgia Davis Powers, who was a mentor in many ways, including Raul Cunningham, who is not that much older than me, maybe about 3 or 4 years, is also very much involved. All these people, the Daryl Owens of the world, I could go on and on and on, but all of these people actually reinforced my commitment and actually gave value and direction to a lot of things that I did. So when Georgia Powers gave up that position, a number of the members of the community were concerned about who was going to fill that slot. So the community leadership, as it were, at that time, came together, and I got solicited to sit with them, and I did speak with them, and others did as well. And they determined that they wanted to back me collectively for that position, and that's where I was then, and that's where I am now. But the reality is that policy drives everything. And I didn't see the concentration of policy. There was policy development, but not a huge concentration of it. So I started the operation called the African American Initiative. And its sole purpose was to bring policymakers and policy implementers, whether it was on a federal, state, or local level, or even from an institutional level, to engagement with members of the communities that I identified earlier in terms of the West End generally, to bring intentional people together with these policymakers so they could study, review, discuss, hopefully improve and/or encourage better policy development with respect to the community itself. Yeah, one of the things that I've enjoyed, and this is working with my wife. Actually, it's her initiative. I work with it. I facilitate it actually, and that's called the Kentucky Minority Scholarship Fund. And one of the things that we have enjoyed and have done since the early '90s, I'm talking about the 1990s, is holding events. It started at our home, where we just invited neighbors and political operatives. We might have a mayor actually serving the bar at that particular time. That's where it was. Or we would have a Martin Luther King Jr. would come in, or a basketball star would come in and mingle with my neighbors and other political people that were involved. So that was very important in terms of what we've done. Now, that particular initiative has grown into an annual event at the Kentucky Center for the Arts. Well, as I've indicated, I attended Central High School, at least the 10th and 11th grade. But I had the pleasure of having as my instructor at Central High School in civics, Lyman T. Johnson. I can remember him back in those days as being very focused, very aggressive, very informative, and was a great inspiration in those classroom exchanges. He was my teacher. But I also interacted with him throughout the civil rights movement at different levels and at different times. I was involved in meetings with him and others, with him personally, and was a friend and still am a friend of his son. So he became a friend, teacher, mentor, friend, and civil rights leader. So it's very personal to me, and I'm very proud to be recognized for this award by LCCC for those reasons, because of my personal relationship with Lyman T. Johnson, and to have a recognition associated with me, his name is very, very satisfying, I must say. So I look forward to continued collaboration with LCCC and whatever contribution I can make in terms of strengthening and uplifting our community.
I think I can speak for our board of directors and say we are extremely proud of Senator Neal and thank him for the many contributions he has made to our local community. Senator Neal, on behalf of LCCC's board of directors and staff, it gives me great pleasure to present you with this very deserving honor. We have seen you in action over many years, and you continue to have a tremendous positive impact on our community. So on behalf of the LCC Board of Directors, I proudly present you with the 2022 Lyman T. Johnson Distinguished Leadership Award, which reads, 2022, Dr. Lyman T. Johnson Distinguished Leadership Award presented to Senator Gerald A. Neal, March 16, 2023. Ladies and gentlemen, I am honored to introduce you to Senator Gerald A. Neal's wife, Mrs. Neal, our latest inductee into the LTJ Honor Society. Thank you. We do have Senator Neal on the phone.
Go ahead, Senator.
Yes, hi. I want to say that I wish like I could be there and take part in this, because it's such a high honor to have my name associated with the name of Lyman T. Johnson. And I can't tell you how grateful I am that you would feel that I would rate high enough to get that honor. Unfortunately, or fortunately, I have this responsibility here in Frankfurt and did not know that it was going to impede my opportunity to be with you today, but that's the way it is sometimes. Yeah. And I hope that you will understand. I want to thank LCCC and the work for what it does, Kevin Fields in particular, but also the staff and all the many volunteers that do the work on the ground, that are unsung heroes in reality. So in receiving this award, this acknowledgement, I recognize that what I'm really doing is I'm just out here as an example, or an individual that you can identify that represents that kind of action, that kind of engagement, that kind of community concern. And I'm just delighted to be able to do this, not just for me, but in recognition of everybody that does that to uplift our community. God bless you, and thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Back to you, Anna.
A lot of moving parts to this program. We have to get you on the telephone. We're going to get you. Okay. Kimberly, thank you for that great presentation to Senator Neal, and congratulations to Senator Neal for a well-deserved honor. We appreciate you for the many years of service to the community and for your excellence in continually going above the call of duty in support of Louisville's African American community. Before we conclude today's awards, we have a special announcement to be presented by board member Dr. Valerie Washington. I'm going to have her come up, and local icon, Mr. Bill Price.
Thank you so much. How's everybody doing? You're looking beautiful. I can tell you that. It's a great program today, and I'm excited to get an opportunity to tell you about an added feature, but I did want to quickly say hey to Raul and to Shani and to Fledge and to Shani, but the greatest school, the Mel Bulldogs. I saw y'all in the house back there. Hey, listen, thank you so much. We want to talk about an initiative. You know, we're celebrating 75 years this year, right? And so we felt like the community at large, who's always been touched by LCCC, would like to contribute. So we created a challenge. It's called, I think everyone may have one of these in your seat, the 75-year challenge. And what we're asking everyone to do is to donate $75, or you can look on and exceed that in different degrees. And I wanted to mention that first part. Now, Doc's going to roll up and explain it to you.
Thank you, Mr. Price. Mr. Price came up with this wonderful challenge. And as you can see on the back of the card, $75 silver is to cover a month of transportation for a first-time job seeker. $150 is gold to help cover a week of childcare for a struggling parent. $300 platinum covers the cost of an 8-week arts education summer camp for an at-risk youth. And $350 diamond, 75 years, amen somebody, to cover the cost of an educational workshop for 5 adult family leaders. And we have listened to many people of how they have addressed the community and have served the community and have been leaders of this community. And you can take part of this too by 2 ways. One, give you $75.
Right now.
Okay, you heard him. He said, if you can right now. And then you could do what? PayPal?
Yes. There's a QR code. A QR code.
Okay, there it is. And then you could be able to pay. So you could do that today, those that would, or you could do like I'm gonna do. I'm gonna give 75 every month. That way,
I like that.
that way I can be able, because I can't pay it all at one time. Amen, somebody. But if I can do $75 a month, then it will be able to help with the diamond. Amen?
Amen.
So you can do that too. Then the second thing that you can do is, we've heard the legacy of so many people.
Right.
We want you to tell your story. What has LCCC done for you, for your family, for your children? What have they done? 75 years. We want to go, if we can, get some folks that was here 75 years ago and tell their story, how they began at LCCC, and how, because of what they've done and how they were taught and how they were trained here and where they've become. Tell your story. Would you do that for our 75th anniversary? And we will be able to compile the book that we can have all of your legacy, your stories in. This is International Women's Month, and it's her story. But we want you to tell your story. Thank you so much for whatever you're gonna do. We pray that God will bless you abundantly back.
And one thing I'd like to add to that is whatever you're going to do, if you could do it immediately today by scanning on this today to get us rolling. We have a goal of $75,000 that we're trying to achieve this year. And, you know, we met earlier with Kevin, and I said to Kevin, you realize the great people that you have in this room today, we could do $75,000 today. There are organizations, there are groups, there are people that are in a position to give, because a visionary takes money to make the vision come to reality. We all know how hard it is to achieve some of those things. This building, a beautiful facility, the staff, the board, the commitment to the community that continues to go on, requires support from everyone that is able, that is capable, that is willing to pass on to our next generation. So we'd ask you today to make a commitment to start us off, get this ball rolling, the goal of $75,000 as soon as we can get that done, because there's so many young people, so many families in need of the services that this organization provides. So we want to thank you so much for your contribution in advance. And we're counting on you to make a difference. Thank you so much.
Thank you. What they said, right? So I want to take a point of personal privilege to make a special presentation once again to Mr. Ralph Cunningham, this time on behalf of the NAACP, where I'm proud to be a member. I do have a presentation that's presented from Mr. Derek Johnson, the President and Chief Executive Officer of NAACP, and Mr. Leon Russell, the Chair of the National Board. And it reads, the NAACP congratulates Mr. Ralph Cunningham on behalf of the NAACP staff and the National Board of Directors. We are very pleased to congratulate Ralph Cunningham as the recipient of the Lyman T. Johnson 5-year Lifetime Achievement Award. It is our great pleasure to join the Louisville Central Community Centers in recognizing the contributions of our colleague, fellow leader, and friend. We know the commitment of Mr. Cunningham and his NAACP involvement goes back to his teen years with the Louisville Youth Council as a high school student. And it reads on, you've heard it all before. The significance of this is that it comes from the national leadership of the NAACP. And again, I want to thank you, Ralph, for your leadership in affecting positive change for the livelihood of those that we all serve here in the Louisville community. So thank you once again. Thank you.
Again, congratulations. So, Mr. Fields, I'm going to go off script just for just a little bit here. And there's a little here. Have you all heard that term, littles and bigs? There's a little here, and she's right over there by where the food is. Okay? And I wondered if you might bring that little up here just very quickly. I'm just very, very quickly. We're going to be opening up the floor for questions and/or remarks in just a little bit while they're coming up. But something that I felt the other night, when I talked to the Lord a little bit, okay, I talked to the Lord in my mind, and I felt like He was saying to me, the babies of yesterday are the children of today. They are the adults of tomorrow. Okay? So, if I can get this out of here. Hi, sweetheart. Hi there. What's your name? Oh, okay. What's the microphone? What's your name? What's your name?
What's your name?
What's her name?
She's Claire.
Claire. Claire, how old are you?
I'm Claire. I'm 2 years old.
Okay. You're 2 years old.
She was wanting to come over here and talk. It's crazy that you asked
Oh
her.
my gosh, are you serious? Okay. So do you want to say something? Yes. Okay, what do you want to say?
Talk right here.
What do you want to say?
My name is Claire. And what do you like to do? I want to bird. Would you like to tell scary stories? It's time to go.
Okay.
Thank you so
I
much.
say thank you.
I want to say something. Tell them to have a nice day. I'm going to take it and talk. No, you have to talk.
Okay, Clara, thank you. I know I put you on the spot, but thank you. Okay? All right. Okay. Let's give Clara a hand. Clara is 2 years old. She's the only child that I saw out here today, and I kept noticing her because she's such a doll baby. And again, I'm just going to say, this little baby is a child of today and is an adult of tomorrow. And so when you hear, the request for $75 or $100 or $500, it may seem like a lot, but when you look at a little like Claire, it warms our heart. That's what this is about. We're not up here just, trying to say, we just need your money for this, that, and the other. It's about Claire. It's about the other littles right now that are over at the Mini-versity. It's about the other children that come through the Lyric Theater. There isn't any reason, people, that we can't develop more Bookers, Mr. Bookers. There's not any reason why our children cannot be the mayors and the Greenbergs of tomorrow, right? There's no reason. There's no reason why our Lyric Theater can't produce more Viola Davises, more Denzel Washingtons, okay? There's no reason. We are the ones that make that happen. We're the ones. So we appreciate you being here today. We appreciate all of those who have supported us through the years. Continue to support us, because I promise you, we will use the dollars that you give to the good of the littles, to the good of the children, and for the adults of tomorrow. Okay? All right. So at this time, I'm going to open up the floor. Are there any questions or any remarks that need to be made? Mr. Fields, anything you want to say or add? Any questions or anything that you can post online as well, and we'll take those questions. Okay. So with that, we're going to conclude. We thank you again for all of those who presented. Thank you for your presence. Thank you for what you did. And we're going to conclude and have lunch. Thank you.
Enjoy your lunch. The cards for the 75-year challenge are on the table, so please take one with you. Thank you.